Greetings, YouTube. I'm not sure why I have to keep saying this, but I do. Elections are not business transactions. If you're not happy with how a business does their job and you boycott that boycott can have a direct effect on their bottom line and can get a corporation to snap into line with what you want them to do. If you make it really obvious that Pepsi Clear is not making it and no one's buying it, Pepsi Clear goes away. If you're very clear about the fact that you don't like a particular film and it bombs, Morbius comes to mind, which got so much buzz because it was so bad. They re-released it for a second time thinking that buzz was about people wanting to see it, and then it bombed twice, which is so deliciously and wonderfully ironic. Um, but that's not how it works with elections. If you don't like the two candidates up running for an office, and in the U.S., it's always going to come down to two, realistically. Uh, you have an option of voting for one or the either, or you're going to help the one you probably least like. Those are your options. Because no one cares if you boycott. If you boycott an election, you're just helping the people you don't like the most. And in fact, I can tell you right now that the GOP would love if you boycotted this election. All the people out there who consider themselves to be progressive, okay? If the GOP will love that your disgust of the Biden administration and your disgust with establishment Democrats and with your disgust with Harris's past pro-cop policies all make you stay at home and not vote, because that would mean they get to put their guy in the White House again. Not voting in the U.S. helps the GOP. Now, there's an argument for taking people to primaries, that voting for someone in a primary to get the right candidate on the bill. But this time around, we didn't really have that option. It was always going to be Biden. And the one person that had a contending job to do it, pull it off, was Dean Phillips, is a Zionist. Now, so is Biden. But at least Biden's a Zionist that can potentially win the election. And Dean Phillips never was. If he'd gotten the election, he'd gotten the primary win and become the candidate, I don't think he would have helped us win in November. I really don't. But Biden will. And I know you're going to tell me that they're the same. That's complete and absolute bullshit. And whether you're saying it out of ignorance or because you are a conservative operative, whenever someone tells you that the two parties are the same, they're trying to convince you not to vote. Now, whether they're doing it intentionally because they're a conservative operative of one variety or another, or they're doing it out of ignorance, I know people like that who will tell me that the two parties are the same, and that is just going to help get the GOP elected, which is bullshit. Don't tell people they shouldn't vote. I'm not telling the GOP base to not vote. I'm telling the Democratic base they need to get out there and vote. The youth of America could end the GOP. I know you're disgusted with the Democrats. I understand why you are disgusted with the Democrats. The Democrats are a center-right conservative party. They have been for a very long time. All right? Biden is not a progressive person. But under his administration, there have been many policies which have passed, which are tangibly benefiting the American people that would never have passed under the GOP. And I despise giving Biden credit for anything because I really don't like him. Okay? But his administration has been better for America than anything the GOP has done in the past 40 years. All right? My wife and I, do not have to pay $13,000 for her student loans because of the Biden administration. That's a tangible benefit for me. And that alone would get me to vote for Biden. Because he saved us a lot of money in a way that the GOP would not have saved us. Remember, the only reason my wife has that debt, because she didn't go to some fancy university. No, The only reason she has that debt is because of Reagan. So the GOP is behind all the debt out there, most of which has been aimed at harming people who aren't white. And that's why Reagan did it. He wanted to shackle non-white Americans with debt so that they would hold them back. It would act as brakes on their forward motion because the GOP is terrified of non-white people having money and having educations and moving up the socioeconomic ladder because he knows they're not very likely to vote for the GOP. So don't give me this, I'm going to boycott this election bullshit, because all you're going to do is put Cheeto back in the White House. And I've actually had people say, well, we can survive 4 more years. No, we can't. They've completely thrown the mask off, folks. They want to destroy democracy. They want to put a dictator in power, and the base, the red caps, are chafing at the bit to be the eager, jackbooted thugs, the brown shirts, for a dictator. They want to be that. They want someone to worship who will lead them forward so they can finally have their race war and finally go after all the black people and brown people and Asian people and all the Jewish people and all the gay and the trans people and just kill them in the streets. That's what they want. And they're not lying about it. This is not an act of hyperbole on my part. They are nakedly saying they want all of these people to go away. They want this to be a white Christian nation. All right? So if you would like to stop that or at least slow it down, go to the polls in November and vote for nothing but Democratic candidates. It's really that simple. If women in America vote for nothing but Dems because of reproductive rights, the GOP is done. If the youth of America would vote for the Democrats because they're tired of how the GOP has been screwing their generation and all future generations, the GOP is done. But the GOP is doing everything in its power to prevent that from happening. So what you have to do is step up to the plate and do what's needed to be done to get your vote counted. But you have to stop this boycott bullshit. You have to stop telling me how they're the same because they aren't. You have to keep telling me how one old man is the same as another old man, and that's not goddamn true, and you know it. You need to do your job as a citizen. Because if you think sitting back and doing nothing is going to make the change, you're a goddamn fool.